Hey everyone, this is Kevin here with Divinely Designed, and today I'm going to do a lip balm video. Back a couple videos ago I asked some of my subscribers to give me some ideas for videos they'd like to see, and some of you asked for a lip balm video. Recently I posted on Facebook and just asked some folks there and said, you know, what would you like to see in a lip balm video? And I asked them also what ingredient they like to use in their lip balms. So we're going to cover a bunch of different things on this video today, including some recipes. We'll do some experimenting. We'll talk about the different ingredients that you can put in, both oils, butters, waxes, and some other additives. We'll talk a little bit about fragrance, packaging, labeling. We're going to talk a little bit about all of that in today's video. To start off with, here are the lip balms that I sell on my website. And so I thought I would just start off by talking a little bit about packaging. As you can see here, I have kind of the classic lip balm tube, right? It's 0.15 ounces, and they come with a variety of different caps. These are flat caps, if you can see that. They sort of have a flat top, but you can get them that have rounded tops as well, and you can certainly buy caps that come in all sorts of colors. I get my caps from Elements Bath and Body, as well as my tubes. And they offer a wide variety of different colors of caps, and I matched my colored caps to sort of the flavors that the lip balms are designed with. So I have this sort of nice rainbow of colors. It looks really pretty to take pictures with them. So starting over here, I have peppermint, blue raspberry, peppermint lemon, lavender, rosemary and clove, cherry, pink lemonade, bubblegum, strawberry, grapefruit, peppermint eucalyptus, and chocolate. Now these are a mixture. Some of them are fragrance oils, some of them are essential oils, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. For right now I'm just sort of looking at the packaging. I like that you can choose lots of different colors of caps. You can match them to flavors that you want to make lip balms for. And there are a couple of different online sources out there for lip balms and caps, and I will try to put a link below to some of those as well. There are other things that you can use, of course. There are lots of different kinds of tins. This is a really small kind of tin you just close together. You can fill those up. This is a fancier sort of plastic tin that has sort of a clamshell that you can close like that. These are generally described as either tins or pots, and both pretty popular. There are slider tins that are sort of more oblong or rectangular that have a sliding top. You can get tins that come in shapes like hearts and ovals and things like that. You could do a DIY tin also if you're just doing this for yourself. You can use an Altoid tin. They have some, the big ones, or they even have those smaller Altoid tins. They work pretty good. If you're going to make your own DIY lip balm, they're perfect size. There are also different shapes of tubes. This is sort of the classic 0.15 ounce. This is a much smaller tube, produces a much thinner lip balm. So you can certainly use these. I think they're cool looking, but they seem to, for me, at least personally, they seem much more like a lipstick kind of tube. But, you know, lip balms will fit in here perfectly. There are some lip balm tubes out there that aren't plastic, that are eco-friendly, that are made from paper. You can get much bigger tubes that come in, I think, a ½ ounce size, or maybe even an ounce size. They're really hunkin' big tubes. But you can find those as well. And again, I'll put some online resources if you want to check those out down there. But lip balm containers can pretty much be anything that you like. If you're doing it DIY at home, if you have some small little jar or an empty little bottle that has a wide enough mouth, you can use it. Now, I will say I did some research prior to this video, and some of the online discussions about things like pots, there is one little, I guess, detriment to these, is what people discuss is, for the pots, if you have a lip balm in here, to apply it to your lip, you have to really use your finger and rub it in the lip balm and then apply it to your lip. And some people say that that's, you know, can be a little bit unsanitary, especially if you're carrying this around with you and then you're out in the world touching things like handrails and elevator buttons and, you know, petting a stray dog or whatever. And then you forget about it and you go to use your lip balm and you kind of put your dirty finger in here. There are some people that are concerned about that. You know, it doesn't freak me out that much, but I carry mine around in my pocket, and so this is the perfect size. It's not too you know, in your way. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's a good size. I like that you can turn the dial and sort of control the amount that's sticking out there. So this is a good size for me. I'm a fan of that. And of course, then there are shrink wrap bands that are made specifically for these kinds of tubes. And you can get them with various kinds of perforations. I don't know if you can see that. That's a little hard to see, probably. A little perforation up top, or some have perforations down the side. So you can get those as well. I don't really use the heat shrink wrap bands, although I have them. My lip balms don't live out in the world. I make them and then they sit in a drawer until I sell them, so I don't have other people out really touching them or anything. If you're concerned about that, then shrink wrap bands are probably a good idea. Okay, what else about packaging? Oh, labeling. So I want to talk about, somebody asked me about ways to label them sort of cheaply. Now you can go to different companies out there that will actually they make, you know, labels that are specifically for these kinds of tubes, and you can get those. I haven't done that. For me, I actually use this. This is an Avery glossy white label. It's number 22807, and I use Avery.com to design my labels. Now, they are completely round here. So the one adjustment I make is I print them out, but at the very bottom, I cut off the very bottom to make it flat. So if you can see here, the round label kind of starts in the back and goes down to the bottom, but I've taken my scissors and just cut that one portion of the round side off so it's flat, and then it wraps around the lip balm container pretty perfectly. You can see it goes all the way up to the top, and since I cut it off, it goes all the way to the bottom. And I have my name of my company, the lip balm, the flavor, and then all of the ingredients in it. Now, I will tell you, the one thing I'm missing from my label is there should be a weight on here as well, and that should be on the front, and I don't have that. So on these labels, but I'm planning to correct that with the next batch. So, okay. So that's a good option. I mean, those Avery labels you can get at Staples, or you can order them online, even cheaper, and you can design the labels on the Avery site yourself, or you can certainly go out there. There's a couple different companies that will do labels for lip balms, and again, I'll try to put some links down there if you're looking for them. I think Lightning Labels is one of them, but I'm sure there are others. So, okay. All right, that's it for packaging, and sort of cover that very basically. Next, we're going to talk about some ingredients, so stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, so let's start talking about ingredients for lip balms. So before I did this video, I've done a little bit of research online, and I wanted to go out there and look at, you know, what are some really well-regarded lip balms, or some really expensive ones, and what's in them, and let's start looking about ingredients. So I have a couple I just want to kind of run through here, just more of a sort of an interesting point than anything else, but so this is probably the most expensive one I could find. There is another one out there, but I found it sort of variable prices. But this one's called La Mer Lip Balm, and for 0.32 ounces, it goes for around $50. This is an Estee Lauder line, La Mer. They have other products, anti-aging creams and things like that that go along with it. So the La Mer lip balm is part of that line. And I read a little bit about this. They put all I mean, you can see this ingredient list that is here, right? Like that goes into it. I will tell you the most interesting thing I find about this is the #1 ingredient in this really fancy lip balm is petroleum. So like Vaseline is like the #1 ingredient. But they put all kinds of crazy things in here. It's supposed to contain like powdered malachite and engineered water that is created in a lab. And it's supposed to have, you know, precious stone dust in it and things like that. Like here we have malachite. It has seaweed extract in it, aloe, algae, all kinds of things in here. So, you know, I didn't even find a lot of great reviews about it. It just contains a lot of really, I mean, crazy things. I don't know. I've never tried it. This seems a little over the top for me for a lip balm. So, but let's look at just a couple of others here. So here's another one that's still kind of pricey. The Eve Lom Kiss Mix, which goes for 0.23 ounces for about $22. A lot less ingredients here, but we can see it has mineral oil, some zinc oxide, beeswax. It has a paraben, I'm assuming probably a preservative of some kind. So there's one. Here's one that got some good reviews. It's called Clark's Botanicals Ultra Rich Lip Balm. For 0.35 ounces, it goes for about $19. But lots of things I can see here. You know, shea butter, coconut oil, castor oil, sweet almond oil, avocado oil, Candelia wax, carnauba wax, grapefruit extract, vanilla extract, jasmine. So, you know, this is sort of seeming more, kind of more natural-ish, you know. Lots of things I recognize here. Here we have another kind of pricey one, the Nux Rive de Mille, which I think means Fantasy of the Bee or Party, I forget, something about the bee lip balm, and why they have that is because this one actually contains honey in it. But again, we can see we have beeswax, shea butter, some soybean oil, grapefruit extract, sweet almond oil, lemon peel, Candelia, you know, again, so lots of good things. This one got lots of pretty good reviews. I read a bunch of blog posts where people cite this one as being a really good lip balm, and it's called Jack Black's Intense Lip Therapy. Now this is getting much more what I would consider into a reasonable price for a lip balm. A quarter of an ounce for $7. Still a little pricey if you ask me, but if it were super good, that's not a bad price. Here we go. So shea butter. This one contains an SPF also, so you can see there's this parasol and octinoxate is for the SPF factor. But other than the SPF stuff, we've got shea butter, avocado oil, vitamin E, green tea, and mint. So that's a pretty natural one. This one's pretty funny. I thought I would do this because, you know, the experiments I'm going to do today are going to be based on a wax of some kind to make a lip balm. But there are other lip balms out there, and this is one of them. This is called Dr. Lip Nipple Balm for Lips. So this actually is made with 100% lanolin, and that's the only ingredient in it. Now, people have given this pretty good reviews. There are people who kind of love lanolin for their lips. I tried some, not of this particular tube, but I've tried some lanolin, and it's very thick and a little bit sticky. So I'm not a huge fan of it. I haven't tried it a lot, but a little pricey also, half an ounce at $14.50. I guess about the same as the last one. That was a quarter ounce for $7. So, but people swear by this, and the only ingredient in it is lanolin. Now, Now we get to some more popular ones. This is a really popular one I see out there. You can see it everywhere, like Target and Walmart and just Wawa or wherever. These things are all over. It's called EOS. It's 1/4 of an ounce for $3.20. And I mean, it's got lots of natural stuff in here. I mean, olive oil, beeswax, coconut oil, jojoba seed oil, shea butter, sunflower oil, vitamin E, some fragrance. So, I mean, it's not, chock full of crazy things or anything, but I swear, I think it's the packaging for these. This is really popular online, on blogs and things like that. People kind of go crazy for it. And I swear it's the packaging. It's just really unique, and you can kind of twist it open. So, I've never tried it. I don't know if it's good or not, but chapstick, right? Probably the penultimate lip balm. Been around for years, I think since around 1900 or so, 1920, I forget what it is. 1960s, I think. But I've always used a lip balm, even as a little kid. It's the one thing I don't really leave the house without, is I always have something with me, because when my lips get dry, it drives me crazy. But as a younger person, I used chapstick all the time, and cherry was always my favorite. But so this one also, I think, has some SPF in it, so there's some sunscreen in there. But this one also has petroleum, and we're not going to do a petroleum lip balm. You can find other videos out there about petroleum lip balms. I'm not going to do that. We're going to base our lip balms on waxes. So here you can see carnauba wax, some fragrance, lanolin, lemon oil, mineral oil. It's got some parabens, probably is a preservative, wax, okay, paraffin wax also, okay. Burt's Bees. This is the one I have used probably prior to the last year when I started making my own. I love Burt's Bees. I think it's a great lip balm. I love the minty feel to it. 0.15 ounces, like the regular tubes, right? We talked about earlier, $3. Good price point, I think. Beeswax, coconut oil, sunflower oil, peppermint oil, lanolin, vitamin E, rosemary extract, soybean oil, canola oil, and limonene, which is sort of a natural fragrance kind of thing. So, lots of good natural stuff in there. I'm a big fan of Burt's Bees. I really like it a lot. Okay, so that's it. So just to give a rundown of some of the other lip balms that are out there and what we can see in them. So let's go right into kind of what goes into a lip balm. All right, so the kind of lip balm we're going to focus on today is one that is made with a wax, right, and has a firm, just sort of semi-firm texture to it. It does well in a tube where you can sort of turn the handle and crank it up. It's not a cream that you have to apply with one of those squeeze applicators or like a petroleum jelly. It's not like that. It's a harder wax-based one. So here are some of the things we might put into our lip balm. We want it to have strength, right? We need it to have firmness. And you get that quality through a combination of either waxes and or butters. So just some of the examples of what we might use. Over here we have soy wax. Then I have beeswax. Here I have an unrefined yellow beeswax. Over here a refined bleached beeswax. And really the only difference is, this one's been processed a little more. Their melting point should be about the same. This one doesn't really have any smell to it at all. This one I love the smell of unrefined beeswax. To me, it smells like honey and flowers all mixed together. It's sort of sweet and floral. I love the smell of unrefined beeswax. And then candelia wax here, which comes from a plant, a bush, I think from Mexico, which they use, I think it's sulfuric acid to help pull out the wax of it. Now, if you're going for a vegan lip balm, obviously you want to use either the soy wax or the candelia wax, which are both plant-based. If that's not an issue for you, you can certainly use beeswax. There's also other waxes out there. There's carnauba wax, which I was going to get a little sample of, but it's actually kind of pricey, and I don't really plan to use it in anything else, so I didn't get any, but you could use carnauba wax. I don't think paraffin's used very much, although we saw it as an ingredient in one of the other lip balms, but you could probably certainly use paraffin as well. And then there's the whole host of butters, which would also give firmness to a lip balm at room temperature. So I just have some examples here. So I have kokum butter, shea butter, cocoa butter, and mango butter. Now, I'm a big fan of shea butter. I think it has lovely qualities. It makes your skin feel really good without feeling super oily or anything like that. But you know, these butters have different properties to them, different acidic arrangements. Cocoa and mango happen to be high in stearic acid. So depending on what qualities you are looking for, should help you to choose your butters thusly, right? I'm probably going to do some experiments here, and we'll go over recipes or two, but I will probably put some shea butter in it because I think that's a good ingredient. Okay, so let's talk about, oh, and one other, there could be oils too that are firm at room temperature. So you might use some of those to provide strength, but primarily I'm focusing kind of on the waxes and the butters to give us firmness to our lip balm. Now then there's the oils that you might choose. So here I just have a selection. I have castor oil, rice bran oil. Here I have some avocado oil. Sweet almond oil would be another good one, right? I tend to go with oils that are sort of on the lighter spectrum. Now, castor oil is a little bit thicker, but when I asked people on Facebook what ingredient they would, some people said castor, so I'm sort of bringing that out as well. I tend to focus less on the castor and more on things like sweet almond, avocado, rice bran. You could certainly use specialty oils as well if you think, you know, those would be work well. I have some babassu oil here, or some neem oil. For those of you who don't know neem oil is really stinky, so just be aware of that. But those might be a good choice. I have, again, this is another one that's firm, is some coconut oil, 76 degree. And this one in particular, if you're looking for something to give your lip balm a little shine, coconut oil will give you a little bit of gloss. Now, we're not making a lip gloss, right? That's sort of a separate thing. But coconut oil will give a little bit of gloss to your lip balm itself. The other thing I'm not doing is a lipstick, right? So I'm not going to talk about color. The one tip I will say is that I have read that if you want to impart a little bit of tint to your lip balm, an easy way to do it is, if you own lipstick, is to take a sliver of your lipstick and simply melt it into your melted lip balm mixture, and then you will get sort of a pastel-y tint of whatever the lipstick color is. I'm not doing anything with colors in this video at all. Somebody also asked me, could you use an infused oil? So sure. So this is a calendula and chamomile infused sweet almond oil. And I might use that in one of my recipes tonight, so an infused oil. Now, remember, you know, and I'm not telling you what the end-all, be-all lip balm recipe is, because I don't think that exists. It varies from person to person, right? What your perfect lip balm for you is probably different from mine and how I want it to feel. But think about kind of the end feel you're trying to accomplish through your lip balm. Are you looking for something that's very light and goes on very sort of slippery and absorbs very quickly? Or are you looking for something that's thicker and sort of coats the lip? but isn't sticky. Like, that's sort of where I would go. I like something that's thicker, that you can sort of feel on your lips, but isn't sticky, remains sort of silky. So the oils that you choose should be oils that you think bring qualities to the final product that are going to be perfect, right? Now, we're going to go through some recipes, but my point being is I can't tell you what the ultimate lip balm recipe is because it varies for different people. Some other ingredients to go through now, not necessarily oils here, but you could add things like glycerin or vitamin E. I think vitamin E would be a perfect addition to lip balms, gives lots of good qualities there. This is a great one, actually. When I asked people online what's their one must-have in a lip balm, a couple people said jojoba oil, and this is a great additive, I think, because it's actually a wax that remains in liquid form. So it's a great addition to a lip balm if you're looking to give barrier protection and moisture retention because it is technically a wax, but remains in a liquid form. So that's a great additive I think you can do. And this is the one I'm sort of most interested to try out. I just got it in today. I was waiting for this to come in so I could do this video. This is lanolin. Lanolin is a product, this is an animal product, so it's not vegan or vegetarian friendly if that's what you're looking for. But lanolin, you can see, is sort of a cream. It almost has the sort of consistency of Vaseline. And it's a product that comes from a sheep, from the wool of a sheep that gets sort of boiled off. And there are people that swear by this. And remember that one balm I went through before, Dr. Lipp's nipple cream for lips. Lanolin has been used for breastfeeding mothers when they get dry and cracked nipples from breastfeeding. Lanolin is an all-natural product that is safe for a baby to eat. So that's why it's actually called nipple cream. But people do use this directly on their lips. Again, I find it a little too sticky for me. I had heard that lanolin has a smell to it. And this does have a slight smell to it, but it's certainly not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, I thought it was going to smell like a farm. But it has, I don't know, it definitely has a little bit of a gamey quality to it, but it's not terrible. And I think you can use a little bit of this and it sort of goes a long way. So that's lanolin, which again is a product from sheep's wool. So we're going to try some of that. Okay, finally, the last thing I'll talk about kind of in terms of ingredients are fragrances or flavor oils. So here I just have some of the examples. So these are actually specific flavor oils for lip balms. These are from Elements Bath & Body, and again I'll leave some links down below. You can see this is Pina Colada, and this is Bubble Gum. And they actually list their usage right on here, 1 to 3% or 1 to 4% for here in balms and lipsticks and things like that. These are not meant to be tasted without dilution. They are very strong, so you only need a few drops to go into your lip balms. One of the interesting things kind of about flavors is it's not actually sort of a flavor that you're tasting on a lip balm. It's actually the smell, and there's a little bit of trick that happens. So here you can see I have some oil in this container here that's sort of solidified. This is coconut oil. This is coconut oil that has been mixed with stevia, which is a sweetener. So if you want your lip balms to have a flavor, the trick to do is to use a sweetener in them, add it to your recipe. When that gets applied to the lips, the tongue actually will taste the sweetness of whatever the sweetener is, in this case stevia, and your nose will smell the aroma of whatever the fragrance is, and it sort of tricks your mouth into thinking it is tasting that flavor. But it's actually the smell that is working in conjunction with the sweetness on the tongue. Now, I'm sure the tongue can taste some elements in the taste arena, but if you really want that, ooh, this tastes really good kind of effect, you're going to want to use a sweetener. Now, this is stevia, which is an all-natural one. I'm sure you could use other sweeteners. You could probably use artificial ones. I think they would work well. But mix it into an oil base. This is pretty saturated. I have about 6 packs of stevia mixed in here. And then you're going to want to add some of that to your recipe later on. But you could also, besides your lip, flavor oils that are made specifically for lip balms, you can use things like essential oils. So here I have ylang ylang, which is a kind of a floral kind of scent, or fragrance oils. I have some lemon cake, and this is a tiny little sample that I got. It's a sparkling citrus sangria. Again, you generally only need a few drops to go into your lip balm recipe to give it that sense of fragrance, and then the stevia or the sweetener in the oil itself will help with that. One caveat I will tell you here is always check with your manufacturer about the products that you are using and the percentages that are safe to be used for skin contact. So always check with your manufacturer's suggested usage rates. You could use a whole host of things, which I don't know. But again, you should have your due diligence of checking what is safe to use for your customers. Okay, great. So we've gone over some of the ingredients in general. Let's get to making some lip balms and testing some recipes. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Okay, let's start off with a little experiment here. I'd like to sort of test the different ratios of a wax to an oil. Oh, and I should mention that I'm not going to be using the soy wax. I'm going to use beeswax and the Candelia wax, which is the plant-based wax. So let's start off with just using a wax and an oil, and I have some different ratios. So here I'm using the unrefined beeswax, and then I have some rice bran oil. Up here I have the Candelia wax and some rice bran oil, and the concentrations are sort of mixed, or the proportions. So starting over here, I have a half a part of the wax, in this case beeswax, and up here Candelia wax, to 1 part of oil. So basically twice as much oil as I have wax. In the middle section, I have a 1-to-1 weight ratio. So exactly as much wax as I have oil. And then finally over here, I have twice as much wax to oil. So these are small batches, but I've measured them out on my scale, and the ratios are pretty good. So I'm going to heat them up, stir them, mix them, and then let them solidify a little bit, and then we'll be back and see what they look like. Stick around. Okay, so here's our experiment, right? We have beeswax on the bottom, Candelia wax on top, and the percentages are sort of increasing. So the least amount of wax to the most amount of wax, and the ratio being half the amount of wax to oil, the same amount, a 1-to-1 ratio, and then here, more wax than oil, a 2-to-1 ratio. So 0.5-to-1, 1-to-1, 2-to-1. Candelia wax up top, beeswax down bottom. Now the first thing I will tell you I noticed is that, I heated them up in the microwave, let them all melt, sort of mix them together, put them in the fridge for just maybe 2 or 3 minutes to let them firm up a little bit. Pulled them out, let them sit for another 2 or 3 minutes just to sort of come to room temperature. And here's where we are. The first thing I noticed is the Candelia wax has a much more sort of glass-like appearance to it. It's probably really hard to see, but it's very smooth. The top is very smooth looking. It has sort of a glass-like appearance, whereas the beeswax has a much more sort of matte finish to it. Okay, so let's see kind of how they feel though. Okay, that's pretty good. It feels a little soft. That feels good. That's nice and firm, but I know, like, if I rub it on it, it's not bad. It's actually a little, it's starting to get a little too firm, which makes me think, yes, this is way too firm over here. All right, let's feel this one. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that would be good for a lip balm. Yeah, this is this feels much too hard to me. So I'm sure this is gonna feel, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the lower percentages of the wax here. In fact, this isn't bad, but you could. I think I could probably even go with less wax ratio, because this still feels pretty waxy to me. Okay, so looks like in terms of the waxes, less is more. In terms of the ratio, you want to stay toward the lower end of the spectrum in terms of amount of wax to oil. Now this is just, you know, one waxed to one oil. So you're going to create a recipe or formula that's different than that. But this is just sort of experimenting with, you know, the variables that we can kind of control. So I would say probably lower than half wax to oil is a better ratio. Not much oil, not much less, but that's a pretty good ratio there. Okay, good. So that's our first experiment. Stay tuned. Okay, we're going to repeat the experiment, but this time with a butter. But the ratios are staying the same. So it's a half part butter to 1 part oil, 1 part oil to 1 part butter, and 2 parts butter to 1 part oil. And these are all shea butter, which I just realized I don't need 2 of these, so we'll just do one experiment here with just shea butter. Now obviously if you used a different butter, you could have a different result. Like cocoa butter I think is harder, so you might come up with a different result. But we're going to repeat that percentage experiment we did with the beeswax and the candelia wax, this time just with a butter, all right? Okay, so here's our wax and butter experiment, and if you remember, we have half as much wax to butter here, a 1-to-1 ratio here, and a 2-to-1 ratio here. Now it's interesting because this is shea butter, so it's still really soft, and I've had this in the fridge for probably 10 minutes. So this one over here where there's not a lot of wax isn't really solid. I can't really pull it out. The middle one, the 1-to-1, is, although it's still really soft. So the shea butter really makes it soft here. Now this last one is pretty firm, but it melts really easily in my fingers. You can see that. I mean, just body heat melts it there. So definitely, you know, depending on the qualities of the butter that you're using, shea butter being one of the sort of softer ones, you can see that it really has an effect on the overall sort of solid nature or meltability of the lip balm itself. So this one is, even though it's 2 parts wax to 1 part shea butter, it's very soft and meltable. So this would probably make an okay lip balm just by itself. Not bad. Not bad for like 2 ingredients, but we can do better than that, right? Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, let's get into some recipes themselves. So this is my recipe. It produces a pretty firm lip balm, but after you use it like once, I think when you start to use lip balms, like they have that very shiny portion on top that for some reason seems a little bit harder. But after you start to use it once, you'll get a nice lip balm that is thick, and it will leave your lips feeling like there is something on them, which is different, I think, than a very light version. Some people like a very, very light lip balm that sort of gets absorbed immediately and they don't really feel like they have a lot on their lips. I don't like that so much. I like to feel like there's something on there. So this is my recipe itself, and you can see how I store mine. So this is the recipe without any fragrance on it, and this is enough to do about 10 lip balm, 10 of the 0.15 ounce lip balms, and I just put it in a cupcake mold, and when it's solidified I take that and I just wrap it up. So I can keep a bunch of these without any fragrance, and then when I need to make some, I can just melt them, add my fragrance, or flavor oil I should say, and then pour them into the tube so they're ready to go. So that's how I keep mine. Now, keep in mind I do very small batches. I don't sell a lot. I'm not mass producing a lot of this stuff. And I don't sell a lot either, so I don't have to make a lot of these at once. But anyway, this is my recipe. So the total is a 100, so you could do this by percentages here. So it's 38% beeswax, 14% sweet almond oil, 14% avocado oil, 10% cocoa butter, 10% shea butter, 6% jojoba oil, 4% coconut oil, 3% essential oil, fragrance oil, flavor oil of your choice, with a little bit of sweetener added to it, to the mixture, I should say, and then 1% of vitamin E. So that's my recipe, but let's experiment with doing some other lip balm recipes, so stay tuned. Okay, let's go for a vegan recipe. So we're going to use the candilia wax, which is from a plant, not beeswax. So in my little container here I have 30% candilia wax, 20% sweet almond oil, and in this case I'm using my infused almond oil with chamomile and calendula, 15% mango butter, 15% cocoa butter, 10% jojoba oil, 3% vitamin E, 3% of my coconut oil with stevia, and 4% glycerin. I have some ylang ylang essential oil that I'm not going to put in now because I'm going to heat this up, and I don't want the essential oil to sort of get ruined by the heat. I'll heat it up, mix it up, and then as it starts to cool down, I will mix in my ylang ylang. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay, so here's our vegan ylang ylang. I just poured it into some silicone muffin things here so as it's cooling. While it's still liquid though, I did add the ylang ylang when it cooled down a little bit, and then I poured it into a tube here, and you can see I just sort of tried it out. When you pour this in, you will get sort of this little divot in the tube. If that bothers you, I mean, what I have done is used an eyedropper and come back and dropped in some hot lip balm so that it doesn't have that divot in it. But you know, for some people it doesn't bother them. But I just tried this out on my lips. It's nice. I like it. It's pretty light, but I can feel like something's there. I don't have a lot of experience with the Candilia wax. I don't know how to describe it. It feels waxier to me than beeswax. I don't know, beeswax has sort of a softness to it. And I find this more waxy, more... I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't think I like it as much as beeswax. But it's nice. And the ylang ylang is very just slightly floral. It's a very nice smell. Pretty unusual for a lip balm. I'm just rubbing this on my lips a little bit more. You can see on my finger it has a little bit of a sheen to it, not much though. It's nice. I will say I don't love it, but it's nice. I don't know that I can sort of tell the calendula or the chamomile is in there. It certainly didn't really give any color to the lip balm, but it's a very nice vegan lip balm, I think. Okay, cool. All right, let's try maybe a non-vegan recipe. Stay tuned. Let's go over our non-vegan recipe. So I have 35% beeswax. In this case, I'm using the refined bleached beeswax. 15% shea butter, 10% jojoba oil, 10% lanolin, 10% avocado oil, 15% coconut oil, 76 degree, and that's with the stevia, and 5% vitamin E. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to heat this up, let it cool down a little bit, and then add some flavor to it, or fragrance, I should say. Okay, check back in a minute. Okay, here's our non-vegan recipe with lanolin in it. And I haven't used this yet, but you can see, or let's see, if you can see that there's sort of that divot again. That's what I was talking about, like when you fill these up, and I used a dropper to fill these up. Now, there are filling trays that you can use, but I don't make enough to really use a tray. The trays are convenient. You can fill a lot of tubes at once and kind of be messy and then just scrape off the extra. But I just use a dropper to fill mine. I usually only make about 20 of one particular flavor at a time. So it's a little time consuming for me, but I usually plan sort of like I'm making lip balms tonight and do it. So this looks nice and smooth here. I'll give it a try. Ooh, this feels really nice. That's very nice. So I've never used lanolin in a lip balm before. And this feels really good on my lips. Now, it's kind of thick. It has a thicker feeling. Like I can tell that there's something on my lips, and I like that. I like a thicker feeling lip balm. It's still very silky and smooth. I like this. I like this recipe a lot. Lanolin is a really nice ingredient to add. So, okay. So there we have it. We've talked about all kinds of things lip balm related. If you have comments or questions, leave them below. If you're new to my channel, give that subscribe button a click there. Also, let's see, I'm filming this on May the 9th. So if you're watching it anytime around that and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel and then check out my other videos. There's currently a drawing going on because I'm close to reaching 2,500 subscribers. And when I reach that, I'll be giving away a whole bunch of soaps and lip balms and bath bombs and just a whole bunch of stuff. So check out that video. It's called the 2,500 subscriber giveaway video. And leave a comment there if you'd like to enter for the drawing to receive those things. Okay, that's it. This is Kevin with Divinely Designed. Again, comments, questions, leave them below. Love to get them. And check back again for some more soap, bath, and beauty related postings here at Divinely Designed.